What does it really take for a tiny idea, one that almost no one believes in, to turn into one of the most powerful companies in the world? NVIDIA's story begins with that exact question. It starts in a small diner. 3 engineers sitting at a table, each of them looking at the future and wondering, what if graphics could change everything? 3 founders and one wild idea. In 1993, 3 men, Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem, decided to build a company around a belief that felt almost unrealistic at the time. Video games and graphics were small industries back then. Most computers couldn't even show smooth 3D graphics. The idea of realistic environments or cinematic visuals sounded like science fiction. But these 3 believed something different. They believed that graphics chips, little processors built specifically for visuals, could shape the future of computing. The world saw graphics. They saw computing. Jensen Huang was the clear driver of this dream. Born in Taiwan and raised in the United States, he didn't come from wealth. He washed dishes at Denny's as a teenager, but he carried something powerful, a relentless mix of humility, obsession, and ambition. Curtis Preem, the technical wizard of the group, knew chip architecture better than nearly anyone alive. Chris Malachowski brought software engineering expertise and a deep understanding of how hardware and software needed to merge. All 3 had worked at major tech companies, Sun Microsystems, AMD, and others. Yet they abandoned comfortable salaries for a risky vision. They called the company NVIDIA, a play on the Latin word NVIDIA, meaning envy. Their first office wasn't glamorous cheap desks, loaned computers, and the kind of startup stress that only engineers in the early 90s can truly describe. But they believed their survival depended on 2 things. 3D graphics would define the future, even beyond games. Someone would need a new kind of chip to make that possible. The rest of the world didn't take this seriously. But the founders didn't need everyone. They just needed to be right. Early struggles. NVIDIA's first products weren't hits. The company began designing graphics chips for PC gaming, but the market was brutal. Many companies were already competing in this Space 3 DFX, S3, ATI, and more. Every few months, someone new appeared. NVIDIA didn't have the money they had. They didn't have the factories they had. They didn't have the customer base they had. But they had something else: the ability to iterate faster than anyone. Their first notable chip, the NV1, was different from what the market expected. It used a unique graphics approach that wasn't compatible with the early standards used by popular games. The idea was smart, but timing was bad. It almost killed the company. The founders had a choice: stick to their design and fail, or pivot fast. They pivoted. NVIDIA scrapped the chip, scrapped the architecture, and rebuilt their approach from zero. This willingness to destroy their own work and rebuild quickly became a pattern that defined the company for decades. Breakthrough. NVIDIA found its first real spark in the late 1990s with the Riva 128 chip. It delivered faster, cleaner 2D and 3D graphics than most competitors. Gamers noticed. Developers noticed. PC manufacturers noticed. Suddenly, NVIDIA wasn't just another graphics startup. They were a threat. The success of Riva helped NVIDIA go public in 1999. But the real breakthrough was coming, one that would change the entire world of computing: the birth of the GPU. In 1999, NVIDIA launched the GeForce 256, calling it the world's first GPU graphics processing unit. But the key wasn't the name, it was the idea. A GPU wasn't just another chip. It was a processor designed to do many tiny calculations at once. This made it perfect for graphics, but over time it became perfect for much more than graphics. This moment, this single chip, became the seed of everything NVIDIA became later. The GeForce 256 pushed NVIDIA ahead of competitors. It made gaming smoother and more realistic than anything before. PC manufacturers started using NVIDIA chips widely. Developers built games designed specifically for NVIDIA hardware. The company had momentum, but success doesn't last unless you evolve. And Jensen Huang understood this better than anyone: the power of risk. NVIDIA built a reputation for taking bold risks that made competitors uncomfortable. One year, Jensen Huang made a decision that shocked even his own engineers. He demanded that the entire architecture of NVIDIA's chips be redesigned from scratch. Not modified, not improved, completely rebuilt. Why? Because he believed future computing workloads, physics simulations, medical imaging, scientific work, and eventually artificial intelligence required a new kind of processor. Investors thought he was reckless. Competitors thought he was overconfident. But inside NVIDIA, the message was clear. We don't wait for the world to change. We build the change. The secret weapon that changed everything. In 2006, NVIDIA introduced CUDA-A programming platform that let developers use GPUs for more than graphics. This was the turning point. Scientists could suddenly use GPUs to simulate molecules. Engineers could analyze massive data sets. Physicists could model galaxies. Doctors could process medical images faster. Cryptography teams could break and build codes. This wasn't graphics anymore. This was computing. For years, the world didn't fully understand the impact, but researchers noticed. University labs noticed, the early AI community noticed. CUDA was hard to replicate. It took NVIDIA years to build, and it created a lead that no competitor could easily catch up to. This is when NVIDIA quietly transformed from a gaming company to a computing company long before the world realized it. The AI explosion. Around the mid-2000s, artificial intelligence research exploded. Neural networks needed enormous amounts of parallel computing power. CPUs couldn't provide it. Only GPUs could. NVIDIA's GPUs were already built for this. CUDA was already ready. Developers already knew how to use the tools. Suddenly, researchers everywhere, from big tech companies to small labs, began buying NVIDIA GPUs by the thousands. Deep learning frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, and others were optimized for CUDA. That meant one thing: AI ran best on NVIDIA. This wasn't luck. This was the result of decades of risk. Jensen Huang once said that building a company like NVIDIA is like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. Gaming, data centers, and more. While AI grew, NVIDIA didn't abandon gaming. Instead, gaming grew with them. The company released GPU generations like GeForce GTX, GeForce RTX. The RTX series introduced real-time ray tracing lighting so realistic that games looked almost like movies. Once again, competitors scrambled to keep up. At the same time, NVIDIA built a massive presence in data centers, supplying chips for cloud computing, supercomputers, and high-performance research labs. Self-driving cars needed advanced processors. NVIDIA built them. Robots needed accelerated computing. NVIDIA built platforms for them. Weather prediction required enormous calculations. NVIDIA provided the chips. Everywhere high-performance computing appeared, NVIDIA followed. Jensen's leadership. Jensen Huang became one of the most admired CEOs in modern tech. He wore his signature leather jacket not for style, but because he believed a leader should feel comfortable as themselves, not pretend to be someone else. He stayed hands-on with engineering teams. He visited labs regularly. He asked direct questions no CEO normally asked. He also believed in patience. Some of NVIDIA's biggest successes, like CUDA, took nearly a decade to pay off. Most CEOs don't take decade-long risks. Jensen did, and that mindset turned NVIDIA into a superpower. NVIDIA as a global tech giant. Today, NVIDIA stands as one of the most influential companies on the planet. This small company that once struggled to survive now fuels almost every major breakthrough in modern computing. NVIDIA employs tens of thousands of people across continents. Its campuses stretch across multiple buildings, research labs, and global offices, each one working on a different piece of the future. And the numbers? They're almost unbelievable. NVIDIA's valuation has soared to around $4.62 trillion as of November 2025, placing it among the most valuable companies in human history. A company that once operated from borrowed meeting rooms is now worth more than entire nations. Your turn now. How do you see NVIDIA shaping the future? Comment your thoughts.